Welcome back to another video brought to you by your one and only literary pharaoh. This whole Tank and Lamont Roach decision is making a big splash in the sport of boxing right now. There seems to be there is there's heavy controversy behind the decision, and rightfully so. The New York State Boxing Commission is going to get involved in seeing if the decision could be overturned, or if whatever decision was made can be changed, either to DQ, disqualification, or reversing the entire decision and giving the win to, I wouldn't even say giving the win to Lamont Roach, because nothing is given, you have to earn it. Providing or establishing the correct judgment on the boxing match by rendering the decision of winner to Lamont Roach. Now, personally, to me, I don't know if you guys heard my other video. I don't think if you take away the kneel down that should have been called a knockdown, take that away, I really think Tank still won the fight. Or you could say it's a draw. And I think that Lamont Roach overexceeded expectations, and we did not see Gervonta Tank Davis do what we normally are accustomed to seeing him do, which is knock people out. It doesn't mean that Tank Davis underperformed. It just means that Lamont Roach rose up to the occasion and fought in a way that no other fighter has fought Tank. He stood in the pocket. He took Tank's best hits. And that usually doesn't happen. Usually when Tank rocks a guy, there are days and he finishes you. Now, I don't know. I'm not in the ring, so it's hard for me to say this. I'm not the one being punched by Tank Davis. But it seemed like the same punch that knocked out. If you go look at the fight that Tank Davis had against, who's the guy that he fought last? What's his name? I'm horrible with remembering names. What's his name? The guy he fought before Lamont Roach. He knocked him out like in the 6th, 7th round. Whatever his name was, that guy. If you look at that fight, the last fight he had before this Lamont Roach fight, the punch that he knocked his opponent out with in that last fight is very similar to the punch he hit Lamont with. Several times Lamont ate it. Now, there's a difference in receiving a punch that you see coming, that you're ready for, that you brace yourself for, versus being hit by a punch you don't see. Usually getting hit by a punch you don't see is the one that knocks you out, because your body isn't ready for it. Your neurotransmitters are not hitting on all cylinders because you don't see that coming. Sympathetic nervous responses are not there at all. And so as a result, your parasympathetic response kicks in, meaning that, you got hit, you're knocked out. Now your body is responding to the blow that you just received, taking you off of equilibrium. You're off balance. Now you hit the floor to gain that equilibrium back. Those are the ones that knock people out. I think what helped Lamont out is that he stood in the pocket. He didn't try to run. He didn't charge in. If you notice how Rolly Romero got knocked out, he was charging in. If you notice how Ryan Garcia got knocked out, he was charging in. Left his ribs exposed. Tank sought an opening, hit him in the body. Good night. Lamont Roach didn't fight that way. Lamont Roach became a student of the game. I told you guys this. Whenever you face a very, very good opponent in life, and this is just a life lessons for anybody. Whenever you're facing anything in life, a hard obstacle or something that's supposed to be challenging, is deemed to be very challenging, what you have to do is prepare yourself for it. And usually when people are facing a challenge that's perceived to be insurmountable, it usually brings out the best out of you because you have to put forth an effort to overcome that challenge. You see, Lamont Roach didn't prepare for Tank the same way he prepared for his other fighters. The fact that he lost to Jamel Herring and had like a close fight with another boxer who was not that good, but all of a sudden you come into the ring and some argue that you beat Tank, or you survived 12. I won't even say he survived 12 rounds. Well, you boxed him for 12 rounds and you countered him for 12 rounds, and you also hit him with good shots for 12 rounds. As a matter of fact, you rocked Tank. He rocked Tank. So, and I think him staying in the pocket, when I say him, I'm referring to Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach remaining in the pocket did him very well. You see, when you're facing somebody and you're afraid, your fear can be the crippling factor that becomes the cause of your inevitable demise. Because if you're afraid, what you're afraid of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes the thing that conquers you. You see, what Lamont did, he looked his fear in the eye. I know this guy. I have familiarity with this guy because they fought in the amateurs. They've trained together. They've sparred together many times. And he's like, I know you. I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to sit here. It's like the dog who comes after you. You can either run and the dog chases you, or you can sit there, sit still, and show that dog that you're not afraid and look that dog in the eye and yell at it and tell it to get back. Get back. Get back. Okay? That's what Lamont did. He stood there in the pocket and told Tank to get the fuck back. And he hit Tank back. When he got hit, he exchanged with Tank. He countered Tank. And I think Tank wasn't ready for that. So if you consider all those things that I just mentioned right now, that what we saw during that fight was not what we thought. So much so that Tank himself was already talking about the next fight. He was already talking about who he was going to announce after this fight. So in his head, it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to win. You never do that. You never do that in the art of boxing. You have to respect your opponent. And I don't think that, even though Tank did mention that Lamont is a good fighter, he still came in with too much confidence and too much arrogance. It's okay to talk about your next fight, but he spoke of it in a very dismissive way, as if, oh, Lamont doesn't matter. I'll tell you guys who I'm going to fight next after this fight. As if, oh, it's an automatic win. The answer to a question like that is to say, I'm not worrying about anything else but Lamont Roach. But after the fight, if I'm fortunate to win, I'll announce who I'm going to fight next. That's the best way to answer a question like that. That's the best way to do it, because you're giving respect to the person that you're going to fight, and you're putting a pause on talking about future fights without, again, being dismissive of the current fight that you're about to engage in. So when you factor in all those elements that I just mentioned, the referee blew the call. That's what caused the referee to blow the call. Because number one, we all have biases. Everyone thought Tank would win. Everyone thought he would win. Yeah, some people thought it may be a challenging fight, but people thought Tank would win convincingly. People who know boxing thought he would win. I'm not talking about casuals. I'm talking about people who study boxing. If you go look at YouTube, all the boxing pundits, they all said the same thing. They all believed that Tank would win. I believed Tank would win, but I was one of the ones. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it was something. The events that were leading up to the fight were just strange. Like the way Tank was acting, the way he was behaving, him losing the drive for boxing, him wanting to retire. And I just saw a person in Lamont Roach that was too confident, but not too confident like, okay, you're just being confident, you're just trying to psych yourself out. No, I read his body language. He looked like a guy that really believed in himself. Not, oh, well, I think I'm gonna win. No, he knew he was gonna win. And I don't really think he doubted himself at all. And as I've said before, whenever you're engaging in any sport that's physical, just as much as you may think that a sport like boxing is 100% physical, no, it's 50-50. It's 50% physical and 50% mental. Your mental state has a lot to do with how you fight, because Lamont Roach didn't fight afraid of Tank. He didn't fight scared, and I think that was an advantage for Lamont. And if you see how Lamont took the punches of Tank, he would roll his head. He knew he was going to get hit, because you're not going to fight Tank and not get touched. He's going to touch you because he's quick, he's very decisive, he sets traps. But one thing that Lamont didn't do, he didn't get too greedy and try to charge Tank. What he did do was remain poised, remained very tactical, very technical, and very strategic. He understood he was going to get hit, but what he did when he saw the punches coming, even though he knew he was going to get hit flush, if you notice, he kind of had like a weird Philly shell. He would kind of turn his head, so the punches from Tank wouldn't land flush. He would get hit, but he would take some of the pressure off the punches by turning his head. That was very strategic. That means that Lamont studied tape. He studied Tank. Tank didn't study Lamont. He just thought, oh, I know this guy. I'll just come in here and just do what I always do and beat him. So I'm very curious to see how the rematch is going to go. I do believe that Tank will win the rematch. The reason why I believe that is because, number one, the retirement talk is out the window. Now all of a sudden he feels like I need to fight for my legacy now that I have a blemish on my record. And even though whether this match is disqualified or deemed a draw, in my opinion, is especially in Tank's opinion, he's always going to view that fight as a blemish on his record, because a lot of people think that he lost. I'm not one of them. I really think that it was either a draw or he won. I really believe he hit Lamont with more power punches. That's what I saw when I watched the fight. It's just that Lamont didn't get rocked and Lamont didn't hit the ground. Tank got rocked. I never saw Lamont get rocked the way Tank got rocked. And I think the optics of that, and then you have the kneel down too that goes against Tank. So the optics of the whole thing look bad for Tank. But if the judges scored the fight the way they're supposed to judge it, factoring in the kneel down, then yes, technically Tank lost. Yes, Tank lost. But if you don't count the kneel down as a knockdown, then I believe Tank won. All right, leave a comment, guys. Tell me what you guys think. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen with the New York State Boxing Commission. All right, peace, guys. Till the next time I see you guys again. Remember, your health is your wealth. Peace.